Welcome back to the Have Not Room. I am joined here by Chad and Brian, and we are here to talk about Week 11 of Big Brother 23. It is the Final Four week and is the first week. We are 13 evictions in, and finally, one of our winner picks has been evicted from the game. Fortunately for Chad, Kyland, his winner pick, goes out here in fourth place. We are here to quickly talk about basically just the Wednesday and Thursday night episode at this point, because we already covered everything else last week.
Yep. A very classy exit by Kyland. You know, you love to see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. And for the this, Chad, don't feel bad. This has no reflection on you. Kyland's a dickhead. We all thought he was a cool guy when we were doing the Cats assessment. We were like, yeah, this guy has a great chance of winning. Little did we know that he's a fucking asshole.
I mean, look, even still, like, Chad still, with the options on the table, probably made either the best or second best pick possible in hindsight. Anyways, like, you could argue with results oriented that Azza would be better because she still has like outs to win theoretically.
Yeah.
But like without Xavier on the table, or I guess technically Derek F as well, even though
Yeah.
I mean, Kyland is looking like he probably was one of the better options still, despite him as a person, which I've gone into multiple times during the season. I've been warning people that he's a total dick. And,
the casuals didn't know. It wasn't shown.
Yeah.
Although you never said anything about him inhaling tortilla, like, deeply. What the fuck was that segment? I was like, oh, this is weird. Presumably he's going to eat this himself. Hey, he puts it back in the bag? That's psycho shit. I can't abide.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
Apparently, someone in his family said he has, like, a quirk where he just smells like everything. But then someone also said that Big Brother wipes down all the groceries that come in, and he was checking to see if it had soap on it.
Yeah.
And that's when like a family member or someone who knew him commented like, "No, he just smells everything." And I'm just like, "All right, well, I mean, whatever." I mean, he was very intense about it. I would get it if he just like did like a little, like a quaffed. But no.
Yeah. It's like, is this still good? If it's still good, I'll eat it. If it's not, I'll throw it out.
Right. Yeah. That's what I kind of thought he was doing with the tortillas, anyways.
He's making love to that thing with his nose. So.
And then leaving it for other people.
Yeah.
That's the bridge too far for me.
What a guy.
Yeah. Like I'm 100% fine with him doing it if he was gonna eat it. Like, it's weird, but whatever. But no.
I mean, we've all done a smell test, but I mean, come on.
Yeah. There's a line.
It's like Joe Biden with hair. Anyway.
Well, let's quickly, I guess, get through the Wednesday night episode, because the bulk of what we're probably going to be talking about here is the eviction. Because that's really it's the one interesting thing that's happened in the last month and a half on Big Brother.
Yeah.
So we have Xavier as our Final Four, HOH, and we have Kyland and Azza on the block, with the target coming into this week being Kyland by Xavier, and Xavier is going to put in a lot of work to convince Big D that this is what should be done, assuming that him or Big D win the veto comp. And so we head into the veto comp, and it is kind of a combination of like two sort of classic BB comps, where you have the days quiz combined with the shuffle seesaw comp, where you have to get balls into a seesaw that they've done like 3 or 4 times since, I think the first time they did it was BB20.
BB16, Frankie, on the reset week. I remember because Frankie was my winner pick, and he got screwed over that week.
Yep. Because he won the veto the first time, and then in the reset he lost it, correct?
He won the HOH and veto, and then he lost the HOH and veto on the reset and got evicted.
Yep.
Disaster. Absolute disaster.
Yeah.
Nicole won last season, which was our first HOH last year.
Correct. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting way to kind of combine the two ideas where it's like, instead of just getting all of the balls into the thing, you have to get the right number in to equal the days that answers the question. And yeah, Kylan doesn't know it at this point, but he needs to win this veto. Yeah. Otherwise, he will be going home. And he is out first over Ozza and Big D even.
Oh my God.
Big D, I mean, based on the people who've won this competition, like Frankie, Cody, Nicole, like, you wouldn't think Big D would be good for this. He played well. He did good. He won some rounds. Like, I was impressed.
Yeah, and I mean, we're going to be talking about the final three here at the end, but this definitely, I would say, makes me more optimistic about a chance to win the part 2 of the final HOH. I had previously put him on like maybe a 1% chance. And this kind of, his performance here and like in BB Comics, I think, bumps it up to maybe like a 10 to 20% chance over Ozza. Right. But like, I mean, still, like, depending on exactly how the comp is formatted, definitely showing more ability here than I would have expected. So good for him.
Yeah. He did great there. He got to be a bouncer later on. He's really coming into his own physically in this.
Yeah.
That is the one thing, like, not to get us too sidetracked, but, like, I was, like, concerned, but then, like, I was like, Big D is a very large guy. Like, I think he could have, like, potentially broken up any potential, like, fisticuffs if it came to that. And he was making the moves, he was doing the, like, I'm just going to creep just in case anything happens here. Yeah. So, respect for my winner pick there.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of criticism for one of the two main important conversation points that we'll have throughout these 2 episodes, which is him basically berating Ozza that she's done nothing throughout the game and he had to carry her, and he had a DR about that, which was very cringy.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as competition-wise, he's improving, although he is, I believe, the first player since BB2 to make the final 3 without winning a single competition.
And who was that other person, Ben?
Okay. All right. We're not going to compare him to Dr. Will.
I'm just saying. It's Dr. Will and him. They're the only 2 in that conversation.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
I got to do what I can here, Ben. I got to support my boy.
Yeah. You're somewhere on the delusion spectrum between Big D himself and the people running his Twitter account at this point.
Yep.
But yeah, Xavier ends up, of course, winning this Final Four veto. His, locking in the nominations for the week. We see him briefly consider pulling Ozza down to guarantee that Kyland would be going, but instead we end up with him not using it. And the reason is because we have what is basically the most important series of conversations of the week, which is Kyland throwing any possibility of him staying by not having good conversations here with Big D.
Yeah, I remember during the week, like, following the BB updates and just seeing, like, their conversations, and then Derek being like, pretty much like, fuck you, Kylan, like, I've done way more than you said I have. And I was like, whoa, Kylan, you are, like, messing up. You don't understand how badly you're messing up, because Big D was definitely on the fence about keeping Kylan until they started having conversations, and Kylan he Kiefered it almost.
Yeah. I mean, Chad, do you have anything to add here? This is your winner pick here. This is like,
yes, Chad.
I mean, I regret it. I regret it after all.
No, but okay,
look, this week. But
you can like, I already snagged Xavier off the board, right? So like, what better choice are you making?
Yeah, no, I think if you flip Xavier and Kyland right now, and Kyland's final HOH this week, that Kyland wins this game. But no, I mean, I don't regret it in the moment picking him, but now it's just like, no, he's a total fucking asshole.
Yeah, but, it's just like, I don't even want to be associated with him at this point.
It's like, it just feels dirty, but but no, yeah, he's just like, I think he was just, based on the episode, it was weird, right? Because he was just like preaching his accolades, and it's just like you're telling someone who doesn't have as much accolades or resume to win to keep you when he could easily just, vote you out, no problem, and he's sitting next to Ozza, like who's done essentially this less amount of work than Big D has. Well, I don't know. It's debatable. I think if it's those final two, something went wrong, but still, like one less person like ahead of you in that pecking order. Like if it's Kyland and X, like one of those two is gonna win. But yeah, I think Kyland he handled that very poorly. Like if he convinced Big D to stay, then that'd be a win for Kyland. That wouldn't be a loss for Big D. That's like crazy strategic if Kyland somehow convinced Big D not to get voted this week. But
I mean, I feel like if Kyland didn't start throwing all of a sudden, he could have done it. Like if he didn't...
Yeah, there was a chance.
The earlier version of Kyland could have done it. I don't know where the fuck Kyland, he stopped being good at Big Brother, like Ben said, around the final 6.
Yep.
He was like, okay.
He was yeah, I mean, X was gonna win for a while, but there was chances where Kyland, if he played it right, he definitely could have won. I mean, you could say that about really anyone, but Kyland, I think, was the only other player in the house that had probably a decent chance.
No,
but no, I think he just got in his head, and I think he's definitely a narcissist, and he's like, oh, final 6, and he definitely thinks he's carried the cookout here because with all his HOH wins and stuff, but yeah, he shouldn't be preaching that to someone who literally has his game in his hands. I don't know, man. I would be begging him to stay and being like, yeah, I'm taking you, no problem, dude.
Yeah, it's tough. I think up until the veto comp and the way that Xavier presented himself after he won the veto, Kyland legitimately thought that Xavier was planning on using the veto on him if he won it. So I don't think that Kyland was really running through the scenarios at that point of Big D is actually going to be the one making the decision. Right? So I don't think that he cared. And then on top of that, when you talk about the argument that he was making to Big D didn't make sense, I think that's because a lot of the logic or lack thereof that Kyland is using is just grounded in kind of this idea of the winner of the season being noble and fulfilling all of the characteristics that Kyland considers to be worthy or whatever. And so I think that he is imparting that way of thinking onto everybody else and assuming that everybody else has the same view of the game that he does, when that's just not the case. And I think that also informs a lot of his the anger that we see when he's evicted, and we see it in his exit interviews where he's been very salty and said a lot of questionable things, especially what we'll be talking about here in the eviction, especially. And yeah, I think it's just that he doesn't think about the idea that other people could see the world and the game differently than him. I think is a fundamental flaw.
Yeah.
Hey, he was a kind of quirky, fun character up until the last few weeks, and then especially last night, in my opinion.
I mean, we were joking about when even a month and a half ago when he was wearing the punishment costume, we were making jokes about him being a jackass. This is not a new thing. I've been trying to beat the drum of Kyland is kind of a dick for quite a while now.
Yeah.
He presents well. It's weird. He was this incredibly nice. He literally helped with child hunger or something. All these charity things. I forget exactly what it was, but volunteerism. He seemed like such a genuine dude. I was this is the nicest guy I've ever seen. And then he just in the cast interview, and then he just turned into this total opposite. He's almost what was it, Brett? Who was the airplane guy?
Brent.
Brent.
Yeah.
Brett, close enough.
Oh, it's funny because Julie called Brent in his exit on BB20, so it all comes back around.
Yeah.
Brett and BB20 he knew what he was doing, so it was charismatic.
Yeah, Brett knew who he was.
Yeah. Total Shad.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of one of the main reasons why Kyland is so frustrating to watch is because he's not self-aware in how he comes off, and especially when he does these things and he messes with people's emotions and really goes in on people, and we've seen in multiple jury segments that he's basically emotionally scarred Sarah Beth.
Yep.
To the point where she's probably gonna need some serious therapy after the season. Honestly, I just don't think that he really understands the level. He doesn't really. I don't know. It feels kind of weird that he just doesn't see things from other people's perspectives and how his actions affect other people. It is kind of sociopathic, like I said before.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just a game till you're the one getting evicted, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
Kyland,
You shouldn't feel stupid or played, until you're the one who's feeling stupid and played.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's a right and a wrong way to play a sneaky, backstabby Big Brother player. And anytime you make it personal, as we see with his exit from the house, anything like that, it's just that's such dirty gameplay. And if someone ever made it to Final Two, even if they backstabbed everyone, but they just did it in a dirty way like that, they don't deserve to win. I don't care how good of a player they are. It's just you don't bring personal stuff to it. I mean, obviously, I think there is a level of personal stuff in Big Brother, regardless of how much people say it's just a game. No, these are people, but
yeah,
I don't know. When you go anytime, especially involving ex's nephew, he had no right to say that, or
100% cross the line.
Anything you involve their family, if someone came in, it's hey, your wife or girlfriend's not gonna love you after this. They deserve to be clocked, if anything. But
yeah.
Well, and especially too when you say, there's obviously going to be a personal aspect to playing the game of Big Brother. What we see here with Kyland, his game is over. He's been evicted. There's no gameplay here. This is literally just him. I don't know if he legitimately believes the things that he's saying and thinks that it's appropriate for him to say, or if he's trying to get a rise out of X because he's annoyed, or he's I don't know what is going through his mind here. But it's not gameplay because the game is over for him. No. So you can't even make that argument. It's just him.
Yeah, I initially thought it was all he's pissed and he's trying to get under X's skin, but then in his exit interviews he said that he didn't think what he said was inappropriate in any way, and he stood by it, and I was oh, okay, that's a take. I fully expected him to be yeah, I was pissed, I said shit that I really shouldn't have said, I'm sorry, I wish I didn't do that, but he was no, I stand by it, and I was oh, okay.
That's how you know he's nuts. He could have easily saved his brand. I mean, obviously, everyone's gonna view him as that moment, regardless. Right, Big Brother, yeah. But if he openly apologized, it'd be different. It's okay, I get it. You got really mad. I would be too if I was Final Four and got blindsided. But
yeah, you probably wouldn't do that, but you at least would be I get that he did that. But yeah, that was bad.
People have said similar stuff, oh, people are going to look at you differently after this, but, in other seasons, but I don't know, man. Yeah, the game's already over, just leave.
There's a difference between getting angry and being fuck you, X, you're a snake or whatever on the way out. In the heat of the moment, that's one thing, but stopping, initiating a conversation, he seemed very calm and level-headed throughout the majority of that conversation that they had, even though it was a very not pleasant conversation, and then to insinuate that the way that Xavier is playing a game show is indicative of him not being a good role model to his nephew as he's like stepped up in place of his late brother, as he's trying to like, you know, be a replacement father figure and like financially help out his widowed sister-in-law. Like that's some like really deep fucked up shit.
Yep.
Yeah, it's bad.
Especially
Knowing the
like,
context.
and he doesn't know, but like, you know, Xavier's like a lawyer. He's seems like a nice guy. He's playing this game really well. He's probably gonna win. Like Xavier's a pretty decent role model for anyone, you know. Like, and to say something like that, so fucked. And it's just so many layers because, like you said, it's his dead brother. Like you're gonna bring like his nephew into that from his like dead brother. That's so dark.
Yeah, knowing that and doing that on live TV, it's just like, I don't know, man. that's insane to me.
Yeah, it's probably the one of, if not like the scummiest things that I've seen on Big Brother in like the last like at least like 5 to 10 years.
It's like the Cole Franzo level shit.
Yeah.
I think at least Cole was just like hurt, and like Austin when he got evicted, I rewatched that because that was the last one where I remember feeling like mad uncomfortable because Austin was a huge guy who was just like refusing to leave the house, and like what are we gonna do here? But
walking out barefoot.
Yeah, he was like immediately just like very mean to Vanessa, like being like, well, you can't win the jury vote now. Like there's no way you're gonna win, and like that's like one thing because that is like about the game. And not like personal. Yeah. So in my opinion, it's like, okay, yeah, it's more of just like he was pissed in the moment and wanted to say like something to kind of get back at her. But this like was just gross, just really gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd almost prefer Cody and Big Brother 18 when you just like
he just immediately left.
Yeah, just
I'd rather see that. That's hilarious.
Or Claire just being like, I'm not gonna hug any of you. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know what they can do because like most of the castmates are fine, you know, they give hugs, they're like good luck guys, have fun, bye. But like when a castmate is like not leaving the house, like what should production do there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean
take away their earnings. There's probably a clause in there.
Sure, I assume like if Kyland had lingered any longer, I think they probably would have sent somebody in or like threatened his stipend or something. But I don't know. And then even after all of that whole situation, in his exit interview with Julie to end it with him basically begging to be brought back as a returning player, just like the absolute gall.
I think, like, up to that point, it's like, yeah, maybe he could have come back. But, like, once he did that, it was... When the point when Julie is straight up yelling at him because she thinks that he's going to, like, punch Xavier when he's going to go grab that water bottle. Like, I mean, I can't blame Julie because, like, he, like, went to leave and then he, like, very quickly, like, made a move to the water bottle. I also was like, what the fuck is happening right now? So
that was awkward in itself too. Just like, oh, is this even my stuff? It's like, bitch.
Yeah, this is my stuff. We'll get it to you if it's not. Leave the house.
If it's, you can get a water bottle. It's another point.
Yep.
Oh.
That was hilarious. And he's like, "Is this my stuff?" And Derek's like, "Yes." Like, very like, "Get the fuck out of here." And,
yeah, I don't know.
Oh my god.
But hey, Derek voted to evict tonight. So
yeah, he said it correct. Yeah,
I cast my vote to evict. He finally did it.
When that happened, I thought that was going to be the highlight of the episode.
Yeah, me too. Twitter loved it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we can also talk about, now that we've gone over that, we can talk about the jury segments here. It's pretty much the only other thing to talk about. I don't know. Was there anything interesting that you guys came from with Tiffany and Chada joining the jury and, 100% confirming to them the cookout after they had already basically figured it out?
No, nothing too crazy. I did definitely feel a little bit bad for Sarah Beth because she's still talking about how hurt she is by Kyland.
Yep.
And just oof. That is ugly. Like Ben said, she might need like professional help after all this.
Yeah.
She was still, throwing haymakers out there. She was like, who she say she didn't respect at all? Oh, I forget who it was. Was it Chada? She's like, I don't respect this person's gameplay at all. I forget.
It was Ozzy.
It was someone.
It was Ozzy.
Yeah, Ozzy.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know Ozzy's not going to win, but, like, geez, rub it in.
I mean, I don't know about that. We'll talk about that, but...
Oh, my God. If Ozzy wins this season, that would just... Big Brother, there's no... What do we have left here? Like, what are we doing?
We'll talk about it, but wouldn't that be back-to-back BB Can 9 and then into this, where our winner picks make the final 6 and BB Can 9 and then go out 6-5-4, and then if Ozza wins this season and our winner picks go out 4-3-2, that would be... Oof.
Be tough. It'd be a tough one, but
Yeah.
I think that you know what? If anything would kill or potentially kill the idea of this like brigade style alliance, it would be having someone who's just like a number member winning the whole game, which would make players think twice about just like doing this style of alliance in the future.
Yeah, if we get an Ozza Big D Final 2, that's gonna like everybody's gonna think twice 100% about doing something like this again, because like the idea of like people like Tiffany, Chada, even Kyland and Xavier to an extent, putting all this work in to get the cookout to this point, and then having the two people who have done essentially nothing throughout the entire season sit in the final 2, basically by default, would be I mean,
y'all thought the Jokers were the weakest team, and here they are.
The only one standing.
Yeah, 2 out of the final 3, potentially the final 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Frenchie's legacy.
Yeah, we thought Frenchie was a joke. They're picking the Jokers, but yeah.
Oh my God.
Frenchie was the Messiah.
He was the Messiah, or the prophet. He fell early, but his prophecy was fulfilled eventually.
Yep.
Why are there so many like closet crazy people this season? Like, I mean, Frenchie was not closet crazy; he was just outwardly crazy. But like Sarah Beth came kind of a little, I don't know. She seems a little unhinged.
I think anybody. I'm going to say this as someone who's auditioned multiple times for Survivor and Big Brother, but I think anybody who goes on one of these shows is a little fucked up in the head, to be honest.
Yeah, you kind of have to be. You willingly go get locked in a house for 3 months and be videotaped 24/7 live.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the Twitter age.
Yeah. Kind of have to.
True. You know what?
Yeah.
I rescind my argument.
I think from now on we just gotta assume all the contestants are crazy from the
these
jump.
people. They're one fry short of a Happy Meal.
Right.
It was just waiting for it to pop.
Obviously, like Kyland took it to another level, and like even Frenchie, obviously, like you mentioned, is a little on another level. But I think all of us, if we're willing to go on these shows, have to admit that we're a little, it's a little odd.
Yeah, but hey, the slaughterhouse lives on, right? All 3 of these players were in the slaughterhouse, so.
Ozza was not.
Oh, Ozza wasn't? That's fucked up, Frenchie. She was on your team. You didn't include her. Look how far Xavier's come from coaching Frenchie down from like every ledge in the first week to potentially winning the season now. Like, it's been a ride. He's been through it.
Yeah.
Well, everything else was nothing compared to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting Xavier to win the jury vote unanimously. Looks like that might not be the case at this point.
Kyland doesn't count.
Yeah. Maybe we can get a 7-2 vote. That might be it. But yeah. All right. Anything else here? We have to talk about, I guess, Xavier wins the final HOH Part 1 as expected. I don't think we really were, holding our breath on that one.
Presuming it was endurance like usual, how long do you think it lasted?
I don't think
18 minutes.
Yeah, like 18 minutes I feel like would be the upper edge of
Well,
it, right?
Ozzy did well. Ozzy did well in the last endurance match. She came in third in the
true.
hanging one.
That's true.
But yeah. Yeah, I mean, she lasted longer than Xavier in that one, but Xavier did throw that cup, technically. So, yeah, Ozzy and Big D will compete in Final HOH Part 2. Presumably, Ozzy is the favorite to win, which would then leave us with an Xavier versus Ozzy Part 3 head-to-head. And at this point, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Provided it's like a question thing, like usual. Anybody's game.
Yeah.
I mean,
depending on how hard the questions are. If the questions are easy enough and they both get all of them right, we go to a tiebreaker.
It's
basically
just like
a toss-up
thing, yeah.
Yeah, basically a toss-up. So
yeah, but does Ozzy have the balls to boot D?
Oh, well, if Ozzy wins Final HOH, I am relatively confident she will evict Xavier and sit the Final 2 with Big D and likely win the game.
Yes.
So
almost certainly will win the game.
So we talked about Xavier being, in my opinion, an imperfect player, and leaving now this window open for him to potentially lose the game from what I would have considered an unlosable position, like the final, like basically after it was locked that Tiffany was getting evicted at Final 6. I think that Xavier should have had a pretty clean path to the end, but evicting Kyland here actually now opens up an out for him to lose, ironically. So, I don't know, we'll see. I obviously, Xavier is my winner pick. I would be happy to be correct and for him to win. But I also think that Ozzy has made fewer mistakes than Xavier, frankly. And obviously, this comes down to like Xavier has had more agency in the game. He has had more opportunity to make decisions.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
There's a lot of criticism to be had of like Oz's Final 5 HOH, but I even at the time was less hard on her over that than on Kyland's move of saving Xavier with the veto, which I thought was like 10 times more egregious.
Right.
Because, frankly, this was always Oz's out to win the game. It was sitting in the Final 3 with Big D and somebody else, and then winning Final 3 HOH, which essentially is going to come down to her basically performing the Part 3 effectively, perfectly. That's usually how it works anyways. So it honestly almost doesn't matter who the third person is in the Final 3 with her and Big D, if it's Xavier, if it's Kyland, if it's Shada, if it's Tiffany. So she made what ended up being a correct read in hindsight that Xavier and Big D would be loyal to the Final 3 deal that they had, and they wouldn't go to the end with Xavier as this like male alliance. So I don't know. I still think Xavier would be probably a better winner for the season, but I don't think Ozzy would be a horrifically terrible winner. I think that she has obviously not had a ton of agency, and with the agency she had was make questionable decisions. But I think there are like positive aspects to her game, and if other people making egregious mistakes allowed her to like kind of just coast into a win by being not, but like if other people were making mistakes and she was doing nothing, right? It's kind of like we talked about the BB Can 9, where it just comes down to like who made the least egregious mistakes. And I think that you can argue at this point that Ozzy has made the least egregious mistakes.
Yeah, the unintentional Steve Moses strategy.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know.
He called his shot and bet on himself and knew like what was happening the whole time. I don't think Ozzy necessarily did, but she might be able to pull off the same end game.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's tricky. I said this last week that I would compare an Ozza win to something like a Jordan Lloyd in
Yeah.
7 would be my argument where uh, she kind of like posts into the end game because people don't view her as a threat, and then miraculously wins the final HOH, evicts the person who was the favorite to win, and sits next to somebody who is largely despised by the jury, and basically wins by default. So I think that's a relatively comparable path.
So you can enjoy that and then enjoy having production passive aggressively like react to her forever. I'm still not over the fact that they painted her in her dunce cap costume in the All-Star house. What was that? That's so rude. Jordan's a winner like anyone else, and statistically as good as Dr. Will. So,
Hey, a win is a win in these games, man.
a win in a fourth place finish, like numbers never lie.
The check cashes just the same.
Right? Exactly.
And in this case, the check actually cashes for more this season. So
Yep.
She's financially the best winner.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah, I mean, there's definitely some wins that are better than others, like Derek and Cody, for example. But I mean, a win's a win.
I think the internet will the BB fan base will really love her if she does pull this off.
Oh God.
Like she'll be the queen forever in BB Twitter's eyes.
she's the only one who potentially would have had the actual balls to evict Xavier. Everyone else has just let Xavier get here,
True.
right?
That counts for a lot.
And she did put Xavier on the block in the final 5, and Kyland took him off.
Right.
Oh man. Yeah. So I don't know. It's like I think that in a lot of ways Xavier's game has been overstated. I think he's like an average player in a house where the cookout was always going to favor him the most because he was the most physically capable, or he was one of the 2 most physically capable, and the other most physically capable player decided to intentionally lose the game to him. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to really
Yeah, it's
I don't
weird.
know. You got check.
It's just weird with the cookout. Like, it's like all these players, like you can say they're good because of how far they made it, but like, it's such like a different way of playing that like I'd be hard pressed to say like, oh, if X wins, right? X is one of the best winners ever. It's like, well, I mean, he's middle of the road for sure.
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
Like you said, he's a very average player. I think he does decent in like an all-star season, but I'd be hard pressed to see X win. I would love to see him come back. I think it'd be interesting to see him in a season where there isn't a cookout style alliance.
Yeah.
And people are actually self-interested. But
I mean, I think his biggest strength is just like, no matter what the alliances were gonna be, was it the slaughterhouse at the beginning, the Royal Flush, right? That's what it was called. The Royal Flush, the cookout. He was always in the center of power, no matter what. So that goes for a lot, in my opinion, in terms of how I view him as a player. Like he was never gonna be on the outside of information for any way that it broke,
Yeah, no, he was very good at the social aspect of the game, very good at positioning himself, very good at, again, holding the cookout together. Like, he was, the mediator that, made sure that the alliance didn't crumble when there was, conflictions in the personalities and sort of thing. But, yeah, my main criticisms of him are when he's had decisions to make within the mechanics of the game. He's often made pretty demonstrably incorrect decisions.
Right.
But he, again, also got Alyssa to the final 7. He was the one member of the cookout who got their +1 to the basically, as far as possible. And, was in a position where he was able to throw the final 7 HOH so that he could play the next week. So, there was a lot of good and a lot of bad with Xavier's game. And, maybe next week we'll be talking about his game as a whole in a little bit more detail. Or maybe we'll be talking about Ozza as the winner of BB23.
Yeah. Next episode. As I always title them, congratulations, and then whoever it was. So it's going to be one of them. Or maybe Big D. We don't know. It could happen.
That would be awesome.
He comes out and he just does an amazing jury speech, and everyone's like, you know what? He has been running this since the beginning.
I think if Big D does what Ozza would do, like if Big D wins the final HOH and then has an epiphany and evicts Xavier, I think there's then a conversation for Big D being a winner, but I don't think he's going to win the final HOH in almost any circumstance. I don't think he's going to evict Xavier in almost any circumstance. That's two extremely large hurdles to cross before we even start having that conversation.
Yeah, true.
I also don't think Big D has the social prowess to sell himself well enough to a jury over Ozza and especially X. I think if X is there, he just has to say, yep, I did this, this, and this. This is why I should win. That's cut and dry. Big D is going to be like fluffing his game hard, and even then, I don't know. I think it's possible he wins against Ozza. It's definitely in the realm, but I don't know. I think Ozza still wins.
I think whoever wins, like if the final two is Ozza and Big D, I think whoever wins the final HOH and evicts Xavier is the favorite. The reason I'm saying it would be Ozza is because I think she's way more likely to win. I think she's way more likely to win the comp, and I think she's she would actually evict Xavier, whereas I don't think Big D.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest I think Xavier will be able to hype himself up in the speech. I think the biggest struggle he's going to be is when people are going to be disagreeing with him. I don't know if he's going to handle that very well. I don't know if he's going to be able to be like, oh well, I see you feel that way, and I respect that, but here's why I feel differently. I don't see him doing that.
I think the greatest advantage that Xavier is going to have that is basically going to make it impossible for him to lose a jury vote is Kyland coming into the jury roundtable and being mega salty at him.
Yes. He's going to be so anti-Xavier, and everyone's going to be so anti-him. They're like, fuck it, Xavier, slam dunk.
Piss off Kyland more. And then Kyland shows up to everyone's house and starts killing them.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Look, man.
Maybe he'll leave, mean reviews on their neighbor app. Let's take it back down to that. He'll come in and sign into the neighbor's app wherever they live and be like...
what's it called? What's
next door?
Next door, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be leaving things like Derek X always leaves the trash thing by the end of the driveway.
One star.
One star, yeah. Oh man, Sarah Beth watches anime far too loud.
I can hear the hentai through the walls. Yeah.
Oh man.
X lost my case. Now I'm in jail.
On his law practice, just terrible lawyer.
Malpractice. Charges too much for shitty lawyering or whatever the fuck.
Oh man.
All right.
It'll be fun. It'll be good.
We somehow stretched this, 2 episodes about nothing into 44 minutes. Yep.
We've been on a roll in terms of stretching stuff with our last few podcasts.
You kind of have to. Have to yank this for all it's worth.
It's been the last week of this, and then the 2 Survivor podcasts we've done super long also. So
way too long.
Some would say too long.
Yeah.
The fans love it.
To the fans who've stuck with us, even though the season became very predictable, and of course the end, and just generally, I think Big Brother is a hard show to ride out to the very end. Everyone's so hyped when it starts. I'm gonna listen to all the podcasts. I'm gonna watch videos, and then by this time, it's just please be over. I cannot handle this anymore. But to the fans who've stuck with us, we really appreciate it very much. We love doing this, and we're glad that you seemingly enjoy listening.
Yeah.
We'll bring a random fan on next time. The next season.
Just completely unvetted fan. And if Kylan wants to come on and complain about the podcast, more than welcome to.
Oh, God, I'll love it. I would love it. Oh, man. No filter. I'm just kidding. I'm sure he's... I don't know. I got nothing for him.
He can speak directly to the manager.
Yeah. From a more realistic perspective, it would be nice to potentially get maybe get Claire on.
Maybe.
To talk about, BB Celeb 3 or BB Can 10, or even next season. We'll see. That would be a
interesting.
A huge get for us, that's for sure.
Huge get, for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Rob has a podcast, easily gets any contestant he wants, but not us.
Yep. But yeah, with that being said, we'll be back next week for the finale, for our final podcast of the season. Until then, you guys want to shout out your social media so people can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at CharlieJP and on Twitter at ChadPerry25, somewhere right here.
And you can find me on Twitter at TheFakeBMar, that's BMARR. You can also find me on our other channels, Wicked Good Sports. Chad's there as well. We talk all kinds of sports, mostly football right now, because we're in the thick of it. Football season is off and running, having a lot of fun with that. So if you want to check us out, or check me out, I'll be there.
You can find me on Twitter at Ben Sharon, and you can see my passive-aggressive tweets about Kyland, potentially, and then I'll probably live tweet the finale and maybe live tweet Survivor as well, and maybe I'll give some thoughts on the Circle on Twitter, the Circle finale also next Wednesday. Otherwise you can follow the main channel on Twitter at WG Everything, or on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or Twitch at Wicked Good Everything. The main channel on YouTube at Wicked Good Everything. This channel on YouTube is Better Radio, and we are the Have Not Room on every major podcasting platform. As we referenced, we also cover Survivor now. Me and Brian, along with our friend Dylan, cover Survivor on the podcast The Blindsiders. We just recorded our podcast on the premiere. It was a very long podcast, almost 2 hours, covering the 2-hour premiere of Survivor. But it was very fun to talk about. First podcast that me and Brian have done in Survivor in many years. Yes. And it's the first episode of Survivor that we've seen in over a year. And then hopefully me and Brian will be able to at least put out one episode to cover.
We'll do at least one.
Yeah, to cover the Circle Season 3 here, as I mentioned, talk on Influencer Chat about that. It's been a very, very odd season, I think, in a lot of ways. But I think there'll be a lot to talk about and parse through, even on a very meta and macro level, just covering the season as a whole. Otherwise, we'll be back, cover the finale of BB23, and then, if we stick through us, we'll be back again to cover Big Brother Celebrity Season 3 and presumably the early next year, and then after that, BB Can 10, BB24 next summer. Thank you for listening.
I thought we had lost Celebrity Big Brother, but it's back. I'm so excited. After they didn't renew it, I was like, all right, it was a fun 2 seasons. I guess they gave up. Mm-hmm. But we should have known when they brought Tom Green onto the show that they were like, we're coming back with Celebrity Big Brother.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Britney Spears' dad's a lock, so it'd be great.
That would be something else.
Oh, boy.
We had Lindsay Lohan's mom, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We got to learn about her being catfished. Very obviously catfished. And we got to air that to the world. Very good stuff.
Oh, man.
What a world. Man. Yeah. And referencing referencing the Celebrity Big Brother US Season 2, we obviously this season we're going to get our first Black American winner of the civilian Big Brother. But let's not forget Tamar Braxton did win Big Brother Celebrity US Season 2. That was the first Black winner of a North American Big Brother franchise overall. And that season did have 4 out of the final 5 also were Black, or Lolo Jones is half Black.
So. Right. And You know, Tamar was just such a fucking star on that season. She was so fun. Like, her winning was really, really great. I mean, I was pulling for my boy Ricky. You know, as a Dolphins fan, I wanted Ricky Williams to win, but if it couldn't have been him, it was Tamar. Was really, really great on that show. Just like, hopefully someone will be as good in the new season of Celebrity Big Brother.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a good time, and, you know, the celebrities, regardless of how well the gameplay is, always bring the drama at the very least. Mm-hmm. And even beyond that, they usually at least bring some level of gamplay.
I've been impressed, I've been impressed with the 2 seasons.
Yeah, a lot of these celebrities, they're playing for mostly pride. Surprisingly, many of them play very hard.
The only thing that can like gain the pride that they lost by signing up for Celebrity Big Brother is winning Celebrity Big Brother. Yeah. So it's a really, you know, big ask.
Yeah. So yeah. Again, we've got up to over 50 minutes now, so we'll sign off. This is way longer than I expected us to go for this episode, but we're professional draggers here.
We are.
It's a problem. It is a problem.
Have a good one.
Later.